Okay, خلينا نشوف task 2.
Task 2. Read the question before that.
Yeah, I'm checking it. In their advertising, businesses nowadays usually emphasize that their products are new in some ways. Why is this? Do you think it is a positive or negative development? Okay, so we have an opinion question.
Yeah, I wrote about 270 words.
Okay, their advertisements nowadays they emphasize novelty, they emphasize being new. نبقى نشوف. In the modern days, no. Okay, modern days is also it's an incorrect expression. You can say nowadays if you want to use days with an S, nowadays, or you can say in our modern world, or but in the modern days is a little, I don't know, it's a little awkward because it doesn't exist as a fixed expression. Yeah. So use nowadays, use in our modern world, maybe these I don't know, I can't think of another one. Nowadays is the best
nowadays
one.
I felt
it's using the question.
It got old.
Yeah, it's using the question.
Exactly.
Yeah, but it's the best one. You can say.
That's why I didn't use it. I didn't want to say it again.
In our modern world, I guess is okay. Okay, large corporations generally attempt to convince consumers that the goods they manufacture have never been made in the past through commerces. This article will discuss the various purposes of this. I don't know, purposes, a little weird. Okay, of this phenomenon. In addition
reasons.
Yeah, various reasons works because reason and purpose is kind of a difference. The purpose is for something that's not done yet, and the reason is for something already done. So, for example, why are you wearing, a coat?
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. So it's a little okay with this phenomenon. In addition to the merits, demerits. Is it a word? Demerits.
Yeah, I got it from.
It might be new to me. Are you sure?
Yeah, you can translate it.
Sounds very odd. No, it's. I'm not doubting that it's true. I'm just going to check it. It's a little odd.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. And let's see the context that we can use it in. Let's check the Merriam-Webster dictionary. Demerits.
I used Google. They said it means a feature or fact deserving censure. No,
it's perfectly fine. Yes, demerits, a typist, demerit, a fault, dereliction. Yeah. So it's a real word. Okay, so it's new to me. It's a little new. Okay, let's continue. And to the merits and demerits of it. To begin with, the most apparent reason behind this is that these businesses. Okay. All right. So I already can see in your introduction, you haven't given me a clear opinion. This sentence you wrote.
No, I gave it later on. I wrote it later on.
Where did you write it?
In the third paragraph.
Okay, that's not a very good idea because your position should be clear from the beginning. You have to make your position clear from the introduction. This is where it's very strongly recommended.
Is this wrong or advisable?
I would go so far as to say wrong. Do you know why? Because it's a part of the introduction. Because in the introduction, if you remember when we talked about the parts of the introduction, we have three parts.
Take your position.
Two of them are main things you need to do, and the third is optional. The first is paraphrasing, the second is stating your opinion, and the third is the outline.
I wrote the first and the third.
Yes. Yeah. That's so I can't see your position here. But let's go on. Okay, to begin with, the most apparent reason behind this is that, do you know why? Another thing, another recommendation, why you should very, very strongly, I strongly recommend you do you include your position in the introduction, because the examiner reading your essay is going to try to model the main ideas, your main ideas in your body 1 and body 2. They're going to try to compare them with your opinion. Do they go hand in hand, or do they contradict each other? Does your position, do your ideas support this position, or do they contradict it? And how do they work together? Do they make sense? Is it a logical conclusion of this position, or is it something kind of irrelevant? So they will be checking these things, so that the easier you make the examiner's job, of course, it's in your advantage. The better you'll get, the better score you'll get. So it's a bit like this. So to begin with, the most apparent reason behind this is that business is trying to ameliorate.
Means improve.
Ameliorate is actually the other way around, I think. It's to decrease or to...
No, I also got this from a teacher before.
Are you sure? Because ameliorate...
Yeah, it means tahsin. I just typed it into Google Translate.
Yeah.
Make something bad or unsatisfactory better.
Yes, but they use it a lot in the medical. It's a kind of medical word, ameliorate pain. So when you ameliorate pain, you actually reduce it. Ameliorate.
Which means make it better.
Yeah, one of the synonyms is enhance. Enhance. Okay, I'm going to say a little controversial point here. You have to be careful with words that are not naturally used in a certain way. Do you get the idea? If we're talking technically ameliorate, whether it means enhance or whether it means to make something better, you're completely right. You're right. But another thing is the context you're using this word in. Do you get the idea? If you're using it in a context that's not normally used, so for example, if we go to ameliorate now in Google and type ameliorate in a sentence, not its meaning in a dictionary,
yeah.
or in...
Let me tell you what they put.
Most of I'm going to bet you 90% of them are medical and related to pain.
Okay, let me read what they said.
Yeah.
The reform did much to ameliorate living standards. Okay. The reform did much to ameliorate living standards.
Okay,
it's not medical context.
No, it's not. But what about the others that you found in the sentences?
I only found one, to be honest. Let me type it into another translator.
Don't type it into the translator. Check the
Merriam-Webster. Yeah, I have.
No, even without Merriam-Webster.
I have.
Ameliorate in a sentence. Okay. So here I'm going to make something better, to improve. He wanted to ameliorate the present suffering. She wanted to ameliorate the situation.
Exactly what you said. This, let me read it out. This medicine should help ameliorate the pain, trying to ameliorate the suffering of people who have lost their jobs. No, one is related to medicine, the other is not. Yeah.
Ameliorate. Yeah, I found other ones which are not medical. Scratching your eye will not ameliorate itching. Okay. In an attempt to ameliorate the situation, Superman flew into action. Ameliorate your singing by taking lessons. Tylenol is a medication to ameliorate. Not only did you ameliorate your grades, you can use it in a non-medical. I don't know. It's just
it looks like it's not very common.
It's not common, and it's a little odd. It's not wrong. By all means, it's actually correct. But with sales,
do you know why I always try to write these words? I don't want my lexical resource to be a 6 or a 5. Because I never use these words too much.
Yeah, it won't be a 6 or 5.
If I didn't use it?
I don't know. For me, it's a matter of risk versus reward. For me, because I'm thinking as an examiner also. For me, I see the risk of using an odd word, because using an odd word, this will guarantee you won't get 9 or 8. Do you get the idea? Because you're not using an expression which is commonly used. I'm not saying don't use any interesting vocab, but by interesting, I'm just saying something which is commonly used
Yeah,
in the
but
situation.
it's hard to. It's very hard to know if I didn't put it in its exact context. You understand?
Yes, and that's why
How will I know this?
that comes to your vocab range and your reading experience. Because the more you read books, the more you read written English, the more this becomes normal
Mm.
to you. So the reason why, for example, demerit and ameliorate, why I made a little fuss about them, because I read quite a lot of English, whether it's fiction, nonfiction, whether it's for work, for pleasure, whether it's technical, whether it's linguistic, medical, whatever. And I've never seen this expression before. So this kind of catches me by surprise. And I'm so surprised that I'm doubting whether it's correct or not, even though in both cases you were correct. Demerit is correct and ameliorate is correct. But the question is, why was
Okay,
I
okay.
caught
Let's
so
settle
much
this down.
by surprise?
Let's settle this down.
Yeah.
Did I make any mistake till this point so far? Did I make any mistake?
The only real mistake is not including the position. This is the real mistake. The other
Yeah.
ones,
Well, what about these two words?
I would consider them at worst case scenario, uh, slightly odd, using slips. They might count them as slips. You get the idea? But they're not wrong. They're just a little odd. They're a
So
bit,
worst case scenario, will it be an 8?
and well, I have to read the rest of it, and I'll tell you whether or not.
Yeah.
If we're talking about vocab range, lexical resource.